All this week, we're coming to you live from New York, where world leaders are gathered for the UN General Assembly. I'm joined live by the Pakistani Foreign Minister, Shah Mahmood Qureshi. Hello and welcome again. Battered by floods, bruised by the Taliban, and blamed for not doing enough to curb extremism. How will Pakistan tackle some of its most critical challenges since independence? It's been struggling to raise international aid to deal with the worst ever natural disaster in its history. At least 1,700 people are dead, 8 million are homeless, and damages are estimated at tens of billions of dollars. The lack of international response is being attributed by many to Pakistan's image deficit, driven by its internal instability, widespread corruption, and accusations by some Western leaders that Pakistan, quote, exports terrorism. Well, its army is also trying to quell the Taliban, which has killed hundreds of people in dozens of shootings and bombings across the country. So today we ask, how can Pakistan resolve its internal contradictions and stabilize itself? Remember, you can call in with your questions and comments, and we also welcome your SMSs and emails onto the show as well. Well, to discuss these issues, I'm joined by the Pakistani Foreign Minister, Shah Mahmood Qureshi. Minister, it's a great pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Now, of course, the flooding has been a huge disaster for Pakistan, the thing you've really had to deal with in the recent weeks. And I know you're at the United Nations meeting with Ban Ki-moon, the UN Secretary General, and about 24 representatives from countries that are looking to help Pakistan. Did it go as you would expect?
I think it went reasonably well, judging from the level of participation that I had yesterday. This is the second successive event at the UN. The Secretary General visited Pakistan himself, saw for himself the challenge, the enormity of the challenge that we are dealing with, and that has helped sensitized international public opinion towards helping Pakistan. And yesterday's event was a very good expression of solidarity with Pakistan.
And yet the world was very slow to respond to Pakistan, and initially it was very, very difficult to get anyone to mobilize. A lot of people blame this on what I described in the introduction as the image deficit that Pakistan has, you know, the corruption, the issues of the extremism.
I tend to disagree with that. I think the world was slow, yes, but they were slow not because they didn't care. They were slow because they did not know the enormity. Unlike an earthquake, you know, in 2005 we were hit by an earthquake, a devastating earthquake. But then you also had 80,000 dead people, you know, to report about, and, you know, horrific scenes over there. In a flood-like situation, you know, it is different. And as the Secretary General very rightly put, it's like a slow-moving tsunami. So as the pictures went around, as footage was seen all over the world, the response has been building up.
You yourself said that, you know, the world community should multiply the impact of Hurricane Katrina 100-fold to understand really what's happened in Pakistan. Yet when India offered initially to offer $5 million in aid, Pakistan was very slow, waited quite a few days before accepting. At a time of need, really, for the Pakistani people. Why was that?
Well, Pakistan responded positively. As you know, Pakistan accepted their humanitarian assistance, and they have increased that, and let me thank them for doing that. I think we have, despite our difference of opinion on a number of issues, we have responded on humanitarian issues. We have responded to them, and they have responded to us.
The delay, I think, looked bad, and especially when lives were at stake.
Well, it wasn't a a delay in the sense that immediate lives were being lost. No, they were contributing into the system, and they have, and we are grateful for that. So thank you, India.
Now, you had a lot of criticism from the US Special Envoy to Pakistan, Richard Holbrooke, who basically was saying Pakistan should help itself more. And I think this was a jab at Pakistan, saying that, you know, there's corruption, that the money should be better used.
When they say Pakistan should help itself more, come and see for yourself what the people of Pakistan have done. Right now, a lot of pledges that were made have yet to be translated in monetary terms to Pakistan. So the bulk of the effort that has been seen on the ground is primarily national in nature. The Pakistan Army, Pakistan civil society, the Pakistan government, federal and provincial governments working in harmony, trying to address from our own resources. So the bulk of the activity, bulk of rescue and relief that you see today is national. Obviously, the international appeal, the first international appeal launched on the 11th of August, has now been materialized. About 92% of that appeal has been materialized, and this will come in handy and is very, very welcome and highly appreciated. But the effort primarily is national.
Well, of course, on the issue of the U.S. relationship with Pakistan, still a tough call right now. The U.S. has been very active with the drone attacks in Pakistani territory, 70 this year, I think 14 this month alone. So they seem to be boosting on that. On one hand, Pakistan expresses public outrage at what's happening, but on the other hand is helping logistically, with the U.S., helping which helps in the attacks. Isn't there hypocrisy there?
You see, no. The point is, you have to understand, and people of Pakistan are beginning to understand, that the terrain in which we are operating is difficult. It's very hostile. And at times, intelligence is passed on. By the time we get to the spot, the bad guys have operated and they have left. So we need this kind of precise, superior technology to take them out. The question that is debated in Pakistan and what people crib about is the question of sovereignty and the question of collateral damage. And we've been talking on these two scores with our American friends. I think over the years, since our debate started, since we went into a dialogue, the collateral damage has considerably gone down because the technology has improved, the ground intelligence has improved. On the issue of sovereignty, what we are asking for is transfer technology to Pakistan, because when we use it, the question of sovereignty doesn't come in. Pakistan Air Force has been used in that area and used very effectively, and there is no crib about that.
Considering the damage it's causing, why isn't there this acceptance by the US to give you the technology then? Why aren't you able to stop the US treading on your territory and be able to do it for yourselves?
Well, as you know, it's a huge bureaucracy. You have wheels within wheels. You can convince one department, but then you have others to convince. There is the State Department, there is the Pentagon, there are intelligence authorities, then there's the White House. So, it's a huge government.
It comes down to trust. Do you think the US trusts Pakistan?
I think the trust level, I can say that with a lot of confidence, has simply improved. And I can speak for the democratically elected government. Since our government has come into office, the trust level has just gone up. You can look at the engagements we've had, look at the interactions we've had, look at the congressional delegations visiting Pakistan, look at the way the strategic dialogue has been expanded in the last 2 years. Look at the frequent visits of Secretary Clinton, Ambassador Holbrooke. So there is an improved environment and also acknowledgement of the successful operations of the Pakistan Army.
Perhaps the perceptions of the media are different. That's the thing. For a lot of people,
I think media is slow in realizing the change on the ground that has taken place. I think they will follow.
How do you regard the fact the US sort of lumped together Pakistan and Afghanistan with its special envoy? Richard Holbrooke has responsibility to both. Mm-hmm. Does that do you a disservice?
What we have qualified is that we are neighbors and we have a common challenge and we need a common approach to deal with that challenge. But we are two distinct countries with a different level of history and with a different level of capacity of our institutions. So you can look at us collectively, and yet it would be simplistic if you just club us together.
The thing is that with the reputation Afghanistan has built up in the US over the years, this kind of axis of terror, Pakistan now also has inherited that.
Well, Pakistan has inherited a lot of problems that have flown into Pakistan from Afghanistan. Let's not forget that to begin with, Pakistan played a critical role in pushing the Soviets out of Afghanistan. We were the frontline state, and we are still living with some of the consequences of that. Even today, there are over 3 million Afghan refugees. Nobody's talking about them. Who's footing the bill? Look at the social implications we have. Look at the economic implications we have of them. Look at the impact of drugs and weapon culture that came in with the Afghan conflict. Now, the world left, but we were left to deal with these problems. Similarly, today, there are issues that we are dealing with, which are not entirely of our creation. In fact, Pakistan is helping the world global peace and regional peace at a big cost to itself.
What happens with the results of Saturday's election in Afghanistan? They're considered to be widespread. There was widespread fraud, according to observers. What fear do you have that will continue to create instability in these issues that you're describing in Pakistan?
Well, we've not meddled in their internal affairs, and since this government, the democratically elected government, has come into office, we've taken a very conscious decision. One, that we need to improve our relations with Afghanistan, and we have, in the last 2.5 years, continuously done that. We've signed 2 new agreements, we've improved our interaction at all levels: political, military, parliamentary, intelligence. 2, we have decided that we will not meddle in internal affairs. The presidential election took place in Afghanistan. We had no favorites. The parliamentary election has taken place. We will respect the judgment of the people of Afghanistan. All we want is a friendly government in Kabul, and we are willing to work with anyone elected by the people of Afghanistan.
So it doesn't help that President Karzai continually accuses your country of harboring Taliban extremists and causing problems in his country.
I think ever since our government has come into office, you would see the vocabulary, the language of President Karzai and the Afghan authorities change significantly. When we came into office, there was acrimony, there was finger pointing. It's no longer there. Today, President Karzai has been on international stages supportive of what Pakistan and recognizing what Pakistan has done. I saw that in the London conference on Afghanistan. I saw that on the 20th of July in Kabul. I saw that on a number of forums that I have interacted with him.
Minister, I'll put a quick email to you before we take a break. So this came in from Pakistan, an email from Khan Ali Gohar Durrani, who wrote in saying, "Everything will be okay if we withdraw from the US war on terror because it is not our war. Secondly, we have to get rid of politicians such as President Asif Ali Zardari." When you hear that kind of sentiment from your countrymen, what do you think?
I think that's a very simplistic way of looking at things to begin with. It is not an alien war. Who are they threatening? They are threatening our way of life. We believe in a parliamentary democracy. The Taliban do not. We believe in a rule of law, governance through a constitutional order. They do not, right? We believe in empowerment of women. They do not. So how are we in line with their thinking? They are in complete contradiction to what we stand for, what Pakistan stands for, what the founding fathers, what Mr. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Qaid-e-Azam stood for, what Zulfikar Ali Bhutto stood for, what the majority of people of Pakistan, through an open expression through their ballots, stand for.
But then you have to persuade those elements in the ISS and the security services and the military who seem to have some kind of affinity for them.
I don't think. I think things have qualitatively changed in Pakistan. I think people in the West are still lagging behind. They are not in touch with the new ground realities, the new awakening that has taken place. Today, I have seen every visitor that has come to Pakistan, parliamentary delegation, US delegation, journalists, has come back with a different impression of society and of the country. Now, it's a very simplistic way of saying, get rid of politicians. We had a military ruler governing Pakistan for over 8 years. What magic did they perform? We have to, once for all, agree that it is the right of the elected representatives of the people to govern. Now, if a government is not doing well, by all means, through the next expression of your ballot, vote it out and bring people that you're comfortable with. But you cannot keep experimenting with dictatorships and democracy. I think today we have reached the level of maturity where there's consensus in the country that democracy and only democracy will work in Pakistan.
Minister, I have more questions for you. We're going to take a very short break here. When we return, the Kashmir conundrum. Can India and Pakistan move beyond any animosity over the disputed territory, which has triggered 3 wars? More of that discussion when we return. Welcome back. Their bitter rivalry over Kashmir has overshadowed their past, leading to an arms race, violent conflict and a nuclear standoff. But can Pakistan and India afford to let Kashmir ruin their future as well? With me here in New York discussing what is perhaps one of the most intractable disputed issues of our time is Pakistan's Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi. And we return to the conversation with the subject of Kashmir, Minister. And I know you've criticized the recent violence there and have been following what's been going on. Yet India accuses Pakistan of fomenting violence there. How can there ever be any solution while the two sides accuse each other like this?
I think debate in India has matured. I'm being very sort of realistic about it. I'm being very sort of dispassionate about it. Today, Indian intelligentsia, Indian Parliament, and Indian journalists are saying, hey, stop passing the buck. We have a local indigenous problem, recognize it. What is happening in occupied Kashmir today is women, children, without weapons, non-violent, protesting, thousands of them. Today you have curfew in so many cities of occupied Kashmir. Can that be orchestrated? Can you drum it unless there is a public sentiment behind it? Come on, that is being naive. I think that recognition has come in. The Indian politicians are recognizing that, and I don't think serious people today are blaming Pakistan for it. When the Indian Foreign Minister, Mr. Krishna, was over in Islamabad on the 15th of July for talks, that is the point that I made. Please address the issue. You cannot shove it under the carpet. This is a recognized, outstanding issue between India and Pakistan. It is recognized in the composite dialogue. It is one of the 8 segments, so you can't wish it away. If you think that you've held elections and the turnout was reasonable and everything is calm, you're mistaken. And now the demonstrations, the curfews, the use of force has amply clarified the point I was making.
Now the thing is that I've spoken to Indian politicians who themselves have acknowledged there is a problem and that the sweeping powers of the military can be problematic as well. But there's a view also that the historical support that Pakistan has had for separatists has built a life of its own, that it's become almost like a haven for jihadis who find that they can exercise their agenda.
See, but right now there is no jihad taking place. What is happening is a political expression. What you see on the screen today is alienation, frustration, and who do you see in the forefront? The youth, the new generation. Now, people who've lived there, have been bred there, have grown up there, have seen the Indian flag flying, from day one. Why are they reacting? Why are they protesting? The whole issue has to be understood. I think you need a more realistic approach. Pakistan has said, we are willing to sit and talk. We are willing to sit and negotiate this issue with you through peaceful means. We have said we feel that under the new change environment, dialogue is the only way forward.
Let's get a caller in from Manchester in England. Ijaz, thank you for your patience. What would you like to ask?
Yeah, good afternoon, Riz, and good afternoon, the Foreign Minister.
Right.
It was quite interesting to hear the Foreign Minister talking about democracy in Pakistan, especially when he's represent the party itself, which is passed on like a furniture from one generation to the other. Furthermore, these elite of Pakistan, they represent whether Sharifs, whether Chaudhrys, or whether Bhuttos. They have used democracy as a tool to benefit themselves, rather benefit.
Okay, let's get onto this. Let the Minister have a chance to answer this. There is this thing about the feudal system. There's been a legacy that passing down of power has been not necessarily through the will of the people, and that also that it's the elite of Pakistan have failed to recognise the social divisions that occur.
See, the answer to that is more democracy. if you have continued elections in Pakistan, if we had elections in Pakistan in the last 6 decades, democracy would have delivered. Unfortunately, we've had interruptions, and we've had 4 interruptions. Institutions were not allowed to mature. Now, if democracy does not deliver, if a political party does not deliver, we are under scrutiny. We are accountable. We are accountable to the people. We have to go to the ballot box, and people will decide. Now, if they do not want hereditary leadership, they will decide. But let it evolve.
If there's been 4 generations of this being passed on, though, is there anyone in Pakistan who knows any different? Is there anyone who really knows a different way forward?
Pakistanis are very intelligent people. Pakistanis cannot be taken for granted. You know, whoever has taken Pakistanis for granted has, you know, been sprung by a surprise. People have reacted very differently. So you cannot take people for granted, and you cannot take electorate for granted. That's my belief.
Let's get a quick call in before we end the show from Aris in Florida. Thanks for waiting as well. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, my question to Mr. Qureshi is, he so eloquently defined what India is doing in Kashmir. I would like to ask him, what is the democratic government of Pakistan doing to protect the rights of minorities? I mean, the government is essentially run by mullahs. The Ahmadis in Pakistan are constantly being persecuted, and it's kind of close to his home. He knows what I'm talking about.
Because we have 30 seconds.
Yes, quickly. First of all, let me correct you, sir. The government is not being run by mullahs. Today, the coalition of government that we have are basically democratic, liberal, progressive parties. Yes, you are right. When the incident, the Lahore sad incident took place, many Pakistanis were ashamed of that. We think we need to protect the minorities. This government has undertaken legislation and is undertaking steps to protect minorities. They have equal rights.
All right, I'm so sorry to stop you because there are many more questions and never enough time, but I do thank you for being with us, and thank you for being with us too. Remember, you can follow the program on Twitter. We'll keep you notified on upcoming shows, and you can send questions and comments for our guests. On the next show, it's now America's longest running war, but what does it hope to gain in Afghanistan? Richard Holbrooke, the Special Envoy for Afghanistan, joins us. Join us too. From me and the team in New York and Washington, see you next time.